Good evening. This is Amit Thackeray, and let's begin with the top stories this hour. Lawmakers demand that states should be federated and the territories defined before the Constitution is promulgated. State motherhood program yet to be implemented around the country. Women in Siraha suffer due to lack of service. At least 14 people killed and several others wounded in a gun attack near a military camp at the Kenyan border with Somalia. And world's oldest man, Sakari Momoy, dies at the age of 112 in Tokyo. Nepali Congress leader Mahesh Asare said that it will be appropriate if the states are federated and border issues are sorted out before the constitution is promulgated. Asare, who is also a former forest minister, has said that even though these issues are discussed in the 16-point agreement formed by the major parties, it will be appropriate if the issue of federation of the states are resolved through the Constituent Assembly itself. Asare was speaking at the discussion on the preliminary draft of the Constitution in the Constituent Assembly. Nepal Mazdoor and Kisan Party Chairman Narayanman Bijukse was also of the view that the name of the states and border issues should be resolved through the Constituent Assembly before the Constitution is promulgated. Other lawmakers said that the Constitution is a document of consensus. They added that it will be a win-win situation if the demands of all other parties who are not in consensus can be addressed. Nepali Congress lawmakers Prakash Man Singh, Minendra Rizal, Narahari Acharya, Sujata Koirala, among other lawmakers, said that the issues of press freedom and pluralism are important and have emphasized on the fact that the preliminary draft should address the rights of every citizen, including the marginalized groups. UML Chairman Vishnu Prasad Paudel, Parvat Kurung and Yanraj Sunwar, among others, said the Constitution should be promulgated by the 31st of July and the disputed issues in the preliminary draft should be resolved with a vote from the public at the earliest. Unified Maoist Hitwaz Pandey said that the presidency methods should be settled. Lawmakers are placing their views on the preliminary draft of the Constitution for the fourth consecutive day today. The Constitution's preliminary draft has been proposed incorporating the provision of federalism. At the same time, there's been a widespread concern over the utilization of the country's water resources, which bears a huge potential both on the consumption and economic fronts. The proposed draft has provisioned the right of multiple utilization of water resources to the federal, provinces, and local authorities. The charter draft has stressed on the need of utilizing local resources for the economic development of the local residents themselves. The draft has also emphasized on gaining multiple advantages from water resources by including people's participation alongside national policy and investment in policy. An investment in priority with regard to energy consumption, the draft has proposed for the development of renewable energy to ensure easy and affordable energy alternatives for the public. Likewise, the document pledges for sustainable and reliable irrigation systems through proper management of rivers. The Constitution's draft has also proposed for delegating the state power under different categories. The document proposes for managing the utilization of the national water resources based on the ferry mechanism. As per the provision, the rights of federal, states, and locals lie on the revenue collected from the local resources. The federal provinces would also have the right upon the large-scale electricity and irrigation projects at the central level. The draft has called for prioritizing national investment based on people's participation for the development of water resources. Analysts have, however, claimed that the document has failed to clarify its stance over foreign investment in the large-scale projects. Experts suggest that in coming days, the country should formulate a clear and effective policy with regard to the utilization of water resources for the development of drinking water, hydropower, and irrigation schemes. Rights activists have challenged the inclusion of women's rights in the new constitution as limiting. They have suggested that the number of issues included in the interim constitution have been left out of the draft constitution. 33% reservation for women, equal property rights for women, citizenship by mothers and fathers named National Assembly, and representation of women in the National and Provincial Assembly are among the provisions in the draft. While the rights activists have welcomed these clauses, but have added they are not enough. They have said that proportionate representation would not be enough to address the 33% reservation. They have demanded a separate electoral constituency for women. They also want a woman represented in the top political position. They said that the current constitution was a reflection of the patriarchal mindset. They have also said that the right to pass on citizenship should be vested in mothers as well. They have further stressed on the need to include the or option so that women can also pass on citizenship. They say it's crucial to empower women. There has been immense pressure to ensure women can pass on their citizenship. Most parties have also cited their support to it in their declaration papers. However, they were not included in the draft constitution. The Rashtriya Prajatantra Party Nepal held a protest rally in the capital today demanding for a Hindu state. The rally that started from Baba Mall converged into a corner meeting at New Baneswar. Addressing the meeting, RPP Nepal's chairman Kamal Thapa demanded to maintain Nepal as a Hindu state, scrapping the provision of secularism. Thapa went on to blame that the Constituent Assembly has turned into a mere rubber stamp due to the syndicate of the major four parties. Meanwhile, the party's other leaders insisted on the need of a referendum over the issues relating to secularism, monarchy, and federalism. The RPP Nepal has long been advocating for a Hindu state and constitutional monarchy. UML chairman KP Sarma Wali has claimed that some intellectuals have attempted to impede the constitution writing procedure. He, however, refrained from clarifying whom he was referring to. At an interaction organized by the UML student wing, ANNFSU, in the capital today, Leader Oli reiterated his pledge to promulgate the National Charter despite hindrances from some quarters. Party senior leaders Salman Khanal and Madhav Kumar Nepal, however, didn't attend the meeting owing to the continuation of the dispute with regard to their appointment at the National Sports Council. Meanwhile, the student wing said that it helped construct 215 school buildings, 170 makeshift huts, alongside 50 health posts and PDC buildings in the districts severely hit by the earthquake. The UML's sister wing said it had deployed 10,000 volunteers for the reconstruction and rehabilitation program. And time now for a short break. Welcome back after the break. The government has instituted the Safe Motherhood program in public hospitals and health centers around the country. The program is aimed at preventing maternal mortality. Under the program, mothers receive postnatal service free of cost and an allowance. However, this provision is not available at a hospital in Sirahas, Lahan. Mothers are entitled to receive free medicines and postnatal care under the program. Delivery services are also free of cost. They would also receive a kit for maternal care and transport remuneration. Postnatal mothers from the mountainous districts receive 1,500 rupees. Those from the hilly districts are entitled to receive 1,000 rupees, and those from the Tarai can receive 500 rupees. However, the Lahan-based Ram Kumar Sarada Uma Prasad Murakka Hospital does not provide any of the services implemented by the government. This is a major hospital in the region. The hospital also has facilities for video X-ray and lab testing. Instead of providing these services free of cost to patients, the hospital refers them to private clinics. The government is supposed to provide a budget to cover the program's expenses. The hospital's superintendent Sunil Kumar Kaswa says the hospital does not have enough funds to implement the Safe Motherhood program. However, records on the budget received by the hospital tell a different story. The hospital received a total budget of 1 million rupees to cover the cost of delivery for 3,200 pregnant women. However, only 1,885 pregnant women have been served. Yet the hospital has been saying that it is facing a budget crunch. This raises a question on how the rest of the funds is being used. The earthquake victims of Tolakhas remote PDCs are unable to collect relief materials provided by the government due to landslide-ravaged roads. The residents of northern PDCs, including Bigu, Alumpu, Tilanka, and Kopachaku, have lamented that they would only be able to collect relief materials in the winter. They have urged the authorities to store the materials until then. Many residents are unable to collect the materials from organizations in lower-lying areas of the district. The travel is extremely dangerous, often resulting in casualties. Landslides are common in the northern part of Dolakha due to the continuous rains. Earthquake victims have said that they are unable to collect the relief materials despite the shortage of daily essentials due to the arduous journey involved. As the end of the fiscal year approaches, development works are being carried out in full speed to finish the budget. This practice has been going on every year. The rush leads to low-quality work and the budget to freeze. While the fiscal year comes to an end, government offices in Makwanpur have been compelled to spend 420 million rupees. The District Development Committee of Makwanpur was allocated a budget of more than 351.1 million rupees, among which 230 million rupees still has not been spent. Last year, 70 million rupees had been frozen from the District Development Committee's budget, while this year it seems like the amount is likely to rise. The Hetauda Sub-Metropolitan, which receives a budget of 310 million rupees, still has 141.5 million rupees left to spend. The locals complain that although huge amounts of money are spent toward the end of the year, the development planning lacks standards. According to the statistics published by the Fund and Accounting Controller's Office of Hetauda, the government office's expenses rise to a great extent toward the end of the fiscal year. The government mechanism that rushes to finish developmental works toward the end of the fiscal year does not utilize the budget carefully. And it's now time for our segment, Public Pulse, where you SMS us with your opinions.
Janamat, brought to you by Morgan International College, Basundhara, Kathmandu, at Mark Academy, Kalanki, Kathmandu, Capitol Hill College and Higher Secondary School, Teku, Kathmandu, Bagmati College, Sukidhara, Kathmandu, Uniglove High Secondary School and College, Kamladi, Kathmandu, Global College of Management, Midbaneshwar, Kathmandu, Xavier Academy, Lazimpat, Kathmandu, KMC National High Secondary School, Balkumani, Lalitpur.
And the question is, who is responsible for the delay in distribution of relief to the flood victims? And options are A, government, B, local administration, and C, lack of pressure from locals. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C and send it to 8080 and do share your opinion with us. The world's oldest man, Japanese centenarian Sakari Momoe, has died in Tokyo at the age of 112. The former high school principal and father of 5 children died of kidney failure in a care facility on Sunday. He had been named 16-year-old American Susanat Mossad Jones. Susanat Mossad Jones celebrated her 116th birthday on Monday with friends and family in New York. Known as T to her 100 nieces and nephews, she has said the secret to her longevity is sleep. The oldest person who has ever lived, according to Guinness, was Jeanne Calment of France, who lived 122 years and 164 days. She died in August 1997. At least 14 people have been killed and several others wounded in a gun attack near a military camp at the Kenyan border with Somalia. It is believed the victims were workers from a local quarry in Mandera County in the northeast of the country. Residents told that they had heard 2 explosions followed by heavy gunfire in the middle of a night. Militia group Al-Shabaab, which operates out of Somalia, has confirmed to the BBC it carried out the attack. Mandera County Commissioner Alex Ole Nokio told AFE that people were sleeping when the gunmen struck. Kenya Red Cross said it was sending an aircraft to the scene to fly the injured to hospitals in Nairobi. An Al-Shabaab source said Al-Shabaab was behind the attack. In December 2014, Al-Shabaab killed 36 quarry workers in Mandera town, attacking the workers while they slept, shooting the non-Muslims dead after separating them from Muslims. The deadliest attacks to date happened at a university in the Kenyan town of Garissa in April, when 4 gunmen killed